Hi folks, Canadian Prepper here. Today on the channel, we're going to talk about how you can make decades worth of clean, disinfected drinking water for less than 20 bucks. What was that? Inflation? Really? That bad? Hi folks, Canadian Prepper here. Today on the channel, for only $50, we're going to show you how you can make virtually endless amounts of drinking water. It's worse than that? Really? Hi folks, Canadian Prepper here. Today on the channel, we're going to show you how you can make decades worth of drinking water for only 75 bucks. Let's get to it. So if and when the grid were to go down and water stops flowing through your taps, you are going to need a way to purify drinking water. Now, there are plenty of filter and disinfecting solutions on the market today. Everything from gravity filters, pocket filters, military grade type filtration systems, chemical filtration solutions. There's 101 ways to deal with water. You can even just boil it, but of course that takes a lot of energy. Filters cost a lot of money. The great thing about them though is that all you have to do is pour water into this thing and it's purified. It's practical, it's easy to use. These are something that you would use if you were out in the field, if you had to bug out and you were drinking water on the go. Something like this obviously would be too cumbersome to carry around. What we're going to show you today is a simple way that you can make bleach and use that bleach in order to disinfect your water. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, why not just buy normal bleach? Well, for one, it tends to be expensive, and the shelf life of bleach starts to degrade after around 6 months. And because of the variable potency of the bleach, this is going to make your water disinfection problematic because you have to be accurate if you want to guarantee that you're killing everything that you have to kill, be it viruses, amoebas, parasites, or bacteria. Now on this channel, we've shown you in the past this system. This is called the MSR SE200. Unfortunately, they don't make this anymore. What this allowed you to do was basically take any table salt, put it in this electrolysis machine, and that would actually produce bleach. It would produce sodium hypochlorite from the sodium chloride. Then you basically had your little bottle of bleach that you could go and purify water with. Now, because these are no longer on the market, we're gonna have to go back to the tried and true solution of making our chlorine solution from our calcium hypochlorite. So let's show you how that's done. Now, I must provide a disclaimer. This is not without its risks. You run the risk of potentially not disinfecting enough or disinfecting too much and drinking potentially toxic water. There's also a potential to generate chlorine gas. This is why we're going to be using personal protective equipment. So don't hold us accountable if you mess up the recipe. But this is something everybody should have in their preparedness repertoire. Now, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency recommends using 70% calcium hypochlorite at minimum. You can get this from Amazon, you can get it from Walmart, you can get it from any local hardware store or a lot of other places. The entire instructions and recipe for what we're going to do today is completely derived from the U.S. Government Environmental Protection Agency website. You can go there and cross-reference just to be safe. The great thing about this stuff is that it's probably going to last 10 years plus if you store it properly. I will advise that if you do open this container, make sure when you reseal it, it's nicely resealed, it's in a cool, dry place. You want to make sure you properly store this because it might clump up if the area you store it in is too humid. There's many different ways you can do this. You can make a more potent bleach solution and use less of that solution to purify your water, or you can make a less potent bleach solution and use more of that bleach to create your water. This typically is where the difference of opinions come in when it comes to how much pool shock you should use to make your bleach and how much of that solution you should use to purify your water. Now, the simplest way to do this is the following. Simply get yourself some 55-gallon drums. Oh boy, it's hot in there. Get some 55-gallon drums, take your pool shock, half a teaspoon of it, pour it right in. That's going to disinfect all the water. You don't have to worry about turning it into bleach and then using that bleach to disinfect. Half a teaspoon in the 55-gallon drum. That water is going to be safe to drink in 40 minutes or more. The next best way to do it is if you have an old bleach bottle. This is going to be around 1 gallon, and basically we're going to make our bleach solution inside this just for the sake of consistency, so there's no confusion. Okay, make sure you rinse it out. You don't want to mix any chemicals together, even though this is just the same thing, but just to be on the side of caution. Now, before I open this up, I'm going to put on my personal protective equipment. I got my bandana, has all kinds of different cool survival tips on it. Check that out. So it shows you how to create shelters, SOS, water. If you're gonna have a bandana, it might as well tell you how to survive. It might as well be dual purpose. We're gonna put on some eye protection. I can imagine what All American Prepper is thinking right now. Safety's for pussies. And in a way, he's right, because let's face it, if it's Mad Max, you're not doing any of this shit. But for the sake of not getting sued, we're gonna show you the proper way to do it. We should get Ricky in here from Trailer Park Boys to show us how to do this. That would be a fun experience.
Which one of these cameras am I supposed to look at for this?
So you want to make sure you do this in a well-ventilated space. Now, what you're going to want to do once you open this, you don't want to leave it open too long, just for the sake of safety purposes. So what you're going to do is add 1 heaping teaspoon, approximately 1/4 ounce of high-test granular calcium hypochlorite to 2 gallons of water, and then you're going to stir or mix up all those particles until they're fully dissolved. Now you'll notice I said a heaping teaspoon. Some people obsess a little bit too much about measuring things right down to the microgram. At the end of the day, if your bleach solution is a little too potent, then you simply wait a little bit longer for the bleach to evaporate from the water. If it's not potent enough, you just increase the potency of the mixture. But for the sake of consistency, let's try to do this as accurately as possible. So we have a 1 gallon bottle here. First thing we're going to do is we're going to fill this up with water. It's recommended that you don't pour the water onto the granules, because that could create a toxic gas. So we got our water in here, and now we're going to proceed to pouring our roughly half of a heaping teaspoon into the mixture. And all we're going to do is just shake that up, and it's as simple as that. Now we got bleach. Okay, so you go and buy this for 75 bucks, and you virtually have endless amounts of bleach that you can use to clean stuff. You can use this to, of course, purify water. If there ever was a viral outbreak, bird flu, whatever the case might be, then of course this is something you can use to sanitize your space. Now, we're all safe, so I can take this shit off. You can get one of these survival bandanas, CanadianPreparedness.com. Pretty cool stuff. Now, in terms of using this to disinfect your water, the solution is simple. For every 100 parts of water, you want 1 part of bleach. So if you wanted to disinfect 1 liter of drinking water, that would mean you would need 10 milliliters of your bleach solution. So here we have a 20-liter water container. Let's do some mental math. What is 1/100th of 20 liters? That's 200 milliliters, just under a cup of our bleach solution in order to purify this amount of water. Now, this solution that we've created is going to be between 600 to 800 parts per million chlorine bleach. That's exactly where you want it to be. Now, we are going to fill up our container with water. We don't have to worry so much about the chlorine gas component, but just to err on the side of caution, we're going to fill this up with water first. Now look, I realize that disinfecting water is not the most entertaining and fun topic, but this is what's probably going to kill you if you don't have a plan to deal with all the bad stuff that's going to be in the drinking water. We take running water for granted. And when that goes, you're going to have a lot of people doing a lot of stupid things, one of which is drinking contaminated water. Okay, so we got our water. Looking for 1/100th. So we're going up to 200 milliliters of our bleach solution, which I'm spilling all over the damn place. There we go. All right, so we're gonna pour this in here. Now to me, this seems like a lot, but this is what the government recommends. This is what the government advises us to do. complain to the EPA if you have any issues. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna let this set for a while. We took this water from a pond out back, and we're gonna test it on the communist camera crew who's taken a break from protesting to come and be our guinea pigs. Fortunately, they don't know about OH&S. They're too busy being idealists, trying to save the world. And this is a great way for me to get rid of them before the hits the fan, because I know they're gonna come after me when the hits the fan. This next step is not mandatory. It's recommended that you buy some test strips online. You can get these on Amazon. These are chlorine test strips. They come in many different types. Just get the basic test strips that we post in the description section below. And this is just a way to ensure your safety. This is gonna kill most of the bad stuff, but to err on the side of caution, it doesn't hurt to filter out that particulate matter or do some kind of other method of filtration that guarantees that it's gonna make the water safe to drink. So we're gonna unscrew this now, once again, and we're gonna dip one of our test strips in there, and we're gonna see what color it turns. So on the test strips, it basically tells you the range of acceptability in terms of parts per million of chlorine. Too much chlorine and it's not gonna taste good. It's not necessarily gonna kill you, but it's also toxic and you don't wanna be consuming it in large amounts. If there's not enough chlorine, then that means that it's not gonna be sufficient in order to kill stuff. Now, technically they say it takes around a half an hour for it to kill all the bad stuff in there. If possible, wait a little bit longer. It doesn't hurt to wait a little bit longer. And if you still have the chlorine taste, what you can do is you can take the water out of here, or some of the water that you want to use, pour it back and forth between containers. That's going to expedite the chlorine evaporation process. So how we want to do this, it's recommended 2 times per second for 5 seconds. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's it. So this is our end result. As you can see, it's right in the Goldilocks zone in terms of where we want it to be. So it's not going to taste too bad, but of course we are going to let this evaporate for a little bit longer. And that's basically all there is to it. For the sake of simplicity, the government on their website, they basically just say a heaping tablespoon, 70% calcium hypochlorite for every 2 gallons of bleach. Very simple. And then of course, on the basis of that, you go 1/100th in terms of disinfecting your drinking water using that bleach. What is this really for? Are you really going to use this process for drinking water? Or is this going to be for all of the other tasks you might have to perform, but you don't want to be exposing yourself to contaminated water? Because remember, even if you're washing yourself with contaminated water, if you happen to ingest some of that contaminated water, be it on water that you use to clean your clothes or your dishes or anything for that matter, or yourself, this would be a better solution for that, in my personal opinion, because it allows you to basically disinfect large amounts of water for that purpose. I would still say, because water is so vital for life, if you were going to make any investment, it should be in a proper water filtration system. The most practical solutions are the gravity filters, the Pro 1 systems. That's going to be the system that people use every single day. And if you get in the habit of using it, then if the crap does hit the fan, it's basically just another day. There's no learning curve. There's no adjustment phase. You just keep doing what you've been doing every single day. Now, things like this, Katadyn Swiss filtration system, incredibly reliable, very fast flow rate, excellent filtration system, is going to get rid of absolutely everything that is going to potentially make you sick. But when you're buying one of these systems, it's very important that you're getting the right system for you. Now, a great, cheap, cost-effective solution is going to be these 2 things right here. So you can combine your water bob with your now $75 pool shock for this large bin and your $30, $40 water bob. You put this into your bathtub. This is just a great combination if you want to disinfect that water using bleach, especially if it's sitting in there for a long period of time, for over a week. just to err on the side of caution might not be a bad idea. So things like this go hand in hand. Again, I would say that this is better suited to more industrial applications. I mean, purifying pool water, if you have a pool, that's a great water storage, dual purpose way to store water. And most people who have a pool already have this stuff kicking around anyways. So that's probably one of the most effective ways to have water storage on your property in a way that is socially acceptable and not going to draw any attention to yourself. If you want to get some pool shock, we're going to post a link for it in the description below. If you want any of these other items, also check out canadianpreparedness.com. And there's plenty of other ways that you can make water safe to drink. Go and watch our video on the topic where we show you 10 different ways, most of which don't even require any filter system whatsoever. So go and check that out. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Canadian Prepper out.
The best way to support this channel is to support yourself by gearing up at canadianpreparedness.com, where you'll find high-quality survival gear at the best prices, no junk, and no gimmicks. Use discount code PREPPINGGEAR for 10% off. Don't forget, the strong survive, but the prepared thrive. Stay safe.